on behalf of the Indiana Minority Health Coalition and the Indiana Department of Health, Food, and Nutrition Community, we're having a community conversation tonight. We need your input. This will go back to the state. Some of the ideals, some of the conversations, some of the questions. I got some questions to ask. I need you all to participate, all right? I'm not going to tell you a joke, but I will let you know that at one time I had hair all over my head. I did, I really did. It was jet black, well, jet dark brown. It wasn't really black. And just want to let you know that, you know, what you see before you wasn't always. Wasn't always. And I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I turned 65 this year, and I feel good. I feel really good. Really, really good. And there are those here that are older than I am, but there are those that are young. Well, I know someone's my age, because we graduated the same year. Everybody else trying to fake it. Thank you, sister. I appreciate it. First of all, I hope everybody got everything that you needed in food today. And I hope that it was delightful. We have some questions we're going to ask, but also I'm going to first start off with, there are those that are here that participate or at least have food pantries. They give away food, they cook food, they feed. They have fed. Our church is one that has given away food at different intervals and different time periods. And so I want them to have words first. Then we'll go into a discussion and tell a little bit about what you do. I know we have Pastor Alexander, Clarence Alexander here. We also have Pastor Ken Fuller. I'm sorry, Pastor Ken. Pastor Ken Fuller. We also have Trish Rohr from Christian Ministries. She's an outreach pastor for Christian Ministries. And I'm going to ask Pastor Clarence if you would go first and just tell us what goes into what you prepare, how you prepare to put those things together, and what is, okay, let me ask you this, what is the passion behind what you do?
My passion started, I guess, when I started working for Second Harvest. Worked for Second Harvest for 7 years, and so it's really just going back, giving back to the people who are in need. It goes back to me from the Bible says, "Go ye therefore." You know, I believe our passion is to go out, so I just go out to the places. The church I was at, we went down to a place called Tent City in Anderson. There's a bunch of homeless people who live down there, so we started feeding them twice a month. You know, and then we did a delivery service for food because a lot of folks who need food don't have transportation. And so we made it to where we did a food delivery, so we were doing food giveaways twice a month, about 150 people every other week, delivering probably 75 of those bags. You know, so it's just really getting to the need of the people who are in need, and that's my passion.
Pastor Ken.
We serve 6 days a week, all except for Monday. We serve from, Mondays are a day off. We serve from a hot meal from 4 to 6 o'clock on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is later because we have Hope House, and we do a meal after Hope House is over on Saturday night. And then Sunday before church from 4 to 5:30, and then 5:30 we van in the neighborhood children, and we have children's church, and we feed them at 5:30 to 6. And then they have church from 6. They have crafts and things, and then we take them home after that's over. And then we have our regular church service goes on next door. And we got a food pantry. It's pretty much open every day when we're there if the family comes in. But we also, Beth takes care, Katrina takes care of the people. Like if it's a special call or special need, we'll open up. Just like in our clothing closet, same thing. If we have an immediate need, we'll open up anytime. They just call and they'll get down there. But most generally, we open at 11 every day, but we do something a little different now. We do worship from 11 to 1. We invite everybody in if they want to come, but it's a time of quietness, and they can sit down and have coffee, water. We have refreshment. Actually, yesterday 2 came in and got saved during that time yesterday. And 2 got healed, prayed for. And after 1 o'clock, then we let them stay in there, give them snacks until mealtime at 4 o'clock. And but we're open about, like I said, about every day. This summer, we're going to open the event center more, have more activities in the event center with it open, with outdoor cookouts, neighborhood cookouts. Like a week from this Saturday, we're having a neighborhood outing with all free popcorn, hot dogs, snow cones, blow-ups. We're going to watch the Jesus Revolution movie. We're going to show it to the neighborhood. And so from 5:30 to movie time, we'll be feeding and allowing people just to come and have a good time in the Lord. So we'll be feeding them at that time too. So that's pretty much. Plus we have services, church service, Wednesday night Bible study, every Tuesday night we have men and women's group. The 4th Thursday of the month we have battered women's support group, and then Saturday's Hope House, and then Sunday we have 2 services. Kind of how we roll. As for the food, Pastor knows I don't ever ask for charity. I've never asked for grants in the 18 years of ministry. God's provided the need every time. I've never seen such a time as this, though. In the last days, we're seeing empty shelves even in the grocery stores. And, we can't deny it's Bible, and it's coming. But we try to pull our sources. We're always good on potato chips, like chips, things like that. I can get over an abundance of them. But when it comes to canned food, I can't get hardly anything. There used to be a time where we would put out a need for canned food and non-perishables, and we would get so much delivered to us, we couldn't even contain it. Now when we do that, people will just bring a little sack of 2 or 3 cans at a time just to try to fill up the storage. And so we just put out a plea again because our pantry's almost getting down to nothing again. But it seems like God comes through. This last time we got so low on meat, we went out to this Amish market at Samville, and he gave us a deal on hamburger and hot dogs. And some guy met us there and donated $1,000 to us, so where we could buy, and we just did all meat. At that point, we needed frozen meat because as many hot meals as we do, from spaghetti, try to make something simple that's not expensive, but we try to doctor different. Katrina is just awesome. She'll put this little that together when I wouldn't even think of these things and make such a nice, beautiful soup or something for the families. And that's just where our heart is. I got to talk to the Rotary yesterday as a speaker and kind of share where our heart's at. But God has provided this far, but it is getting tougher. And it's getting, in the last probably 6 months, I've really seen it. I mean, we just go to the Dollar General store to get creamer, and it's the shelf's empty. There's none there. So it's definitely a need. We try to store up, but the thing of it is, the need gets greater, and the food just gets going faster. And you know, and that's where, see, we even got a mobile soup trailer that we're wanting to get on the road. We had it on the road a couple of years ago here in Delaware County, where we took it to different neighborhoods, like he was saying, and just bringing the trailer and just having just a roaster pan of soup. You know, with the health department stuff, you got, you know, but as long as it's cooked out of a certified kitchen, I'm okay to take it. So we used to serve soup, so I think we're going to try to get that rolling again. I've just been trying to, our problem is volunteers too. I mean, we had to take a break this week because people are burnt out. And I just had to reel them in and say, hey, when ministry becomes a drudgery and people get so stressed out, then it's not a joy anymore and it's not a ministry. It becomes, and we just got to get ourselves to know, hey, we got to take a break, get ourselves back with the Lord, get the joy back in us again, because it can zap you real quick. It really can. I've been in this now, Pastor, for 18 years, the Faith Builders, and it's always used to be a mobile ministry where we try to serve the homeless and destitute, and now we got recovery, you know. That's where we find a lot of it too, in recovery. You know, a lot of addicts, we are coming very hungry. I bet you we go through more sugar, candy bars than anything with those kind of people, because that's kind of a food for them, is sweets and sugar. So, but yeah, that's what we do down there. You know, we're thankful for what we've got a brand new building down there. We call it the South End Event Center. It's got garage doors all the way around it. Pastor Melvin down there, right down the road, he's getting a group for children without fathers. Okay. I think that's what his is. And so we stop by and communicate. We trying to get some stuff together for the South End that we can bring everybody together. And just the garage doors, when they're all open, it's just like one massive theater. You know, it's just like, you know, people can come all around and do whatever you want, you know. So we're wanting to do some cornhole tournaments this year for the neighborhood, and just some different things that we can do, and that's it. And then the last thing is the youth. I have a burden, and I'm praying for a good youth leader for our neighborhood. We really do. Our youth are dying, and see so many of them. And we are on August 4th, if all the churches could come together, and we've got the information that we're coming at the Commons for a youth fest, not a Christian fest, but a youth fest, based for the young people and old. But I don't know if you know Billy Ballinger. Billy has warmed up for Winter Jam, warmed up with some of the big name groups. He's on tour now. He's originally from Muncie, was on 5th Street, 2 blocks from the Norm. And he was put in prison, got out of prison. His testimony, he got his kid back. Him and Jody's been married now for 20 years. Just amazing man is going to come in concert. They're also bringing a worship team and a rapper that night to come in. And we're just going to bring the food trailer and give everybody free food, and just a time where they can have something to do and get them off the streets.
Well, thank you. Good. And then keep us abreast with that information. Keep us abreast. Trish,
I'm Trish Rupp. I'm the outreach specialist at Christian Ministries, and so I do a lot more of this type of thing for our food pantry coordinator. He's not really a public speaker, but he does a great job making sure the shelves are full, and he does an inventory for all the documents that we need to do for second harvest, and goes up to Meyer and picks up bulk food. Sometimes it is hard to get the bulk off of the shelves also. And we have Meyer money, is it the Simply Give program, and we also help with the hub. Because we have that program, and so every so often I'll go out there and buy things for them, because they have so many homeless people come in. I try to do convenience items, because that's what they were saying, well, if you're buying it, could you please buy those? So that way we have so many come in, we can do that. And our food pantry is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday from 10 to 12:30, Wednesday through Friday from 9 to 12:30. And we're starting to see more and more people coming in again. It was lower due to COVID, but we're starting to see more and more people, because they're not getting the extra stamps and things. And budgeting can be a real issue with some of the people that I work with, especially in our homeless shelter for families. I'm going to bring in the Healthy Living Center to work on those skills, so that way they're not spending all their cash and all their food stamps on food. So that way they can save that money for deposits when they are able to get their own homes. And for beds, they need those, any of those type of items. And the one thing that I really work on is getting toiletries and getting toilet paper and shampoo and conditioner, things you cannot buy on food stamps. And so when I go out and I speak anywhere, that's what I tell people that we need is things you cannot buy on food stamps. You can buy a pop, you can buy candy, but you cannot buy toilet paper. And I just think that's a big need to have, because if you can't provide those items, you just feel less than. And I don't want anyone to feel less than because they don't have the money for those items. And we also get things from Second Harvest, with their commodities program, the TFAB, and their food actually is better quality than what you can buy in the store. It just doesn't look pretty. So if I have a choice between having commodities, having TFAB, and having something from the store that's of that quality, I'll take that food any day of the week. And the one thing though, we cannot get is cheese. I pray for that sometimes. And people are silly, you like pray for cheese? I said yes, and I'm very specific. I want the brown box, the brown lid, I have the 5 pounds uncut. You know what I'm talking about, Claire?
Good cheese.
That cheese you cannot buy. So if I'm going to pray for something, Jesus says make it specific.
Amen.
I am very specific. And so, and one time that worked. I actually got cheese. And before we started getting meds on a regular basis, I prayed for that also. And so that's the things that we're working with in our food pantry. We also have a men's shelter, and I'm able to go and buy things for the men's shelter for them to eat, and they get quality food. And we have a guy that
Is the
comes
men's
in.
shelter open now?
No, it's closed.
Okay, so it's closed till November,
October.
correct? October.
Yeah, the middle of October.
Okay.
Travis Casey, he's our coordinator, and he does a lot of the cooking, and he works also out back, he's one of the managers. So they actually, I joke that, which is true really, but I'm going to joke about coming and eating with them because they eat better than I do. I mean, I buy ribs, I bought all kinds of chicken, bacon. I mean, they get nice meals. So there's no reason for them not to. Just because you're homeless doesn't mean you can't have a quality meal.
That's right.
They get dinner, they get breakfast, and they get to wash their clothes, they get to have a shower. And so, I also provide help with rent and utilities and deposits. Christian Ministries is one of the few agencies that will do deposits, and we can pay a little bit towards back bills. We're not able to pay a lot because we're very small, but we are able to do some on those type of items. We get out sheets and towels and washcloths and blankets and diapers. Because some people can afford the bills, but they don't have the extra money to go out and buy sheets and buy towels and buy those items. So we get those out on Wednesdays, and I try to bring in as many agencies as possible. I have Humana comes in. I have another lady that does independent insurance. She comes in, does life insurance, does Medicare. I have another lady comes in and does HIT. So I try to bring as many resources as possible in one place.
Okay. Thank you. And I see Pastor Bob has come in. Would you like to speak on in and out and what you do, some of the things that are happening down there?
Well, okay. We've got the two 501s. We've got BNF for Blood and Fire Ministries, and then we've got Inside Out as a community development corporation. What's happening Monday through Friday with Inside Out is we're preparing about 1,000 meals a week, mini meals or snacks a week right now. They go out to after-school programs, and some of them over here at Longfellow and Moms and Ross and various places around the community. And so there's production going 5 days a week there, and then on Saturday we have our doors open at 4. We have our 4:30 meal, and we have our 4:45 food pantry and food distribution there. So there's food going out of our kitchen 6 days a week. We're trying to expand our services. We have the first grant came through. We're waiting on a second one that gives us 1 year before we have to start doing all of our own fundraising with the new position, because we've now outgrown what we can do and we're hiring someone. So what's going to happen, hopefully this summer we'll be ready to launch, is we'll open up a fresh market. So under Inside Out we have the Fresh Directions Hot Meals for Kids program that I described. It goes 5 days a week. Then there's the Fresh Food Sense, which is culinary arts training, which what that looks like at this point, and it's about to expand, is Chef Rocky does Serve Safe certifications once a month. We also, during the summer, host Teen Works and feed them breakfast, lunch, and a snack. And one of those teams works in our kitchen, so they get, during that summer, they get job training in our commercial kitchen. It's really kind of set up that way to teach them the skills. And then we're also adding in, hopefully this summer that launches, where we're going to add in our Holy Smoke training, and the idea will be that they'll get a little time in the commercial kitchen, they'll get their Serve Safe certification, there's financial literacy opportunity, and then they'll learn how to use all 3 of our smokers, and we hope to sell some barbecue out front, kind of QL style, if you will, 2 or 3 days a week, so that those students can earn a stipend on those days that they're doing production. And then the rest of the resources we go in just to help fund what we're doing with that training. And so then the 4th bin would be, then there's, I mentioned the Fresh Market. That's what we hope goes this summer, where we launch, and people will come in, and we're partnering with Second Harvest. People will come in, and basically we're setting up where you'll be assigned a card when you're of eligibility, and then you can come in you'll have so many points. We'll probably start with 3 days a week, a block of hours, different hours that meet people's schedules, and you'll be able to shop with points, and once you've exhausted your points, that's it for the day. And so it's basically a dignified way to shop and swipe your card and pick up the things that you need that are available, and do it in a market setting. So, and then the 4th area is we're working with somebody right now that we hope that soon we'll be growing some microgreens and trying to increasingly source our food locally and see what we can produce that's really healthy to continue to put those kinds of things in the meal and educate kids' palates and find out if you eat the right food and fuels your body, you're going to be better off all the way around. So that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, thank you. And also, Pastor Fenway, you have...
Yeah, we just started. We do Thanksgiving, we do Christmas. We've done it for 2 years, but I do have a passion. It just started, and we've done 2 giveaways, and we do them on the 3rd Sunday of every month. It's open to anyone that wants to come to the church. It's in our fellowship hall. And pretty much just one rule is that you have to wait till after service is over with. You don't have to attend service, but we're not going to let people go until the service is over. And we're normally done about 1:45. And we get our stuff from Midwest Food Bank over in Indy. And we are teaming up now with Second Harvest. And so I had to get refrigerators and things like that. They've already approved the building. And so we're starting to have it, and it'll be every third Sunday. People are welcome to come and just get all you want. And the goal is not to leave anything in the building after that's over with. Because if it's left that Monday, then I've got some people that just come and take it all. I just don't want it left. I want it gone. And then we just start all over again actually it's the second Thursday I go and get it, and then the third Sunday we pass it out.
What's the name?
Greater Mount Calvary Church of God in Christ.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if they had a special name or something.
Huh?
I didn't know if they had a special name.
No. I just say shop at Calvary.
That's great.
This is just me birthing this mission. I just think it's something that needs to happen, want it to happen. And so that's part of my desire. And so like I said, I'm just birthing it and seeing where it's going to go at. Everything there is free. Just come get it.
Let's give these and again, on behalf of Indiana Minority Health Coalition and Indiana Department of Health, Food, and Nutrition, I'm thankful for everyone that's here. And us. The Delaware, the Health Coalition of Delaware County. Also, because we're part of the Indiana Minority Health. But we have the director here, Felice Burks Bailey, and myself as the chair, and we're here to have this conversation. It's very needful, and I've got some questions I need to ask, but also I want to ask some of you that are providers some questions also. But one of the questions in this, I want everyone to engage in this conversation because we need to address the food inequities in our community, the availability, and I know one of the questions before I even ask this question, I know all of you that are doing it. My question is, do you see even a greater need? And I know, Pastor Paul, you cover a lot of people. There's a lot of people, but do you, even in covering what you cover, do you still see a greater need?
Yeah, I wouldn't say our numbers are necessarily up right now like they had, COVID, it was crazy. So, we had them lined around the block at one point then, but yeah, I wouldn't say they're up, but do I think the need is greater and wider? And does it feel like that we're on the cusp of something that we better get a handle on? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Our numbers are going up, but they're not going up as much as they have been. They are going up, but what we're seeing more and more of is new families. Lots of new families. They come in and they're like, I've never been here before, I've never had to do this, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. So we explain to them our process. All we do is put them in the computer, we ask for an ID in case we would need it. Sometimes we just need it for the name, because we can't hear them, or we don't know how to spell their name, so we can put them in the computer, because we see them once every 30 days. And then we have them fill out a choice sheet, so that way they get to pick what they want to eat to a certain degree, which is much better than just back for us anyway, and that's what Second Harvest requires. And so, but it's much, much better when you're able to pick at least a little bit of your own choices. And then they go over to our pantry and we give them the food, and if we have toiletries, we give them shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste, toilet paper, any of those type of items that we have. And so when we're seeing larger families coming in, we had a lady 2 weeks ago came in and she had 10 kids. So she was raising 7 of her own and 3 of her grandchildren. And we're seeing much larger families.
I think our need is there, but one thing I've kind of felt guilty about in some senses is sometimes I feel we enable them more than what we disciple them. In the meaning, not that they're homeless, but we have a few that come around, that's been coming around for years. Perfectly healthy, can work. I don't love them any less. But I said, God, I mean, am I here to improve them in their walk, or am I going to leave them stay where they're at? So we started doing a discipleship on Tuesdays. We've had up to 30, 35 men on Tuesdays. Some of the homeless, the guys that was there earlier, that we've been walking them through Wild at Heart, learning to find who they are, getting into their cells. We feed them a nice meal while we're there talking. Then we get into the prayer room, teach them how to pray, how God is our provider. Then at the end of that, actually, I'd say probably 7 out of that 30 has got jobs and are working. Because I related the gospel with being physical. Because you can't just be spiritual and you got to be physical. From the day that God made Adam and Eve, the Lord planted us to work as labor. So we tried to tell these guys, look, you know, encourage them, not bash them, but encourage them. Look, you guys are healthy. What is it that you like to do? And then when they start come to the norm and do a few things, say, man, you are good at that drywall. Yeah, I used to do that. You're good at wiring. I used to do that. And I think that once we build relationships, see, I think that's where we fall. We keep getting the idea of giving food away, but the idea of the conception, what are we instilling into them as we're feeding them? And are we encouraging growth, or are we encouraging to stay in the condition that they're in? And that's where the Lord had been bothering me some. Because when new people come in, we treat them like gold. We always do, even the ones that still come. But we challenge them a little bit more. The ones that have been there more. And the ones we found that we challenged, like I said, 7 of them are proud as a peacock. One's working at Advanced Auto. I forget where the other guys are working. And they're coming to church. Actually, during this time, they were actually putting tithes in the church, which was maybe a penny or a dime, but it was everything they had because they appreciated and they learned the appreciation of what we're doing. And so I guess, like I said, we open it and we'll still serve them, we still love them, but I think there comes a place when they've been coming there 2 or 3 years and they're perfectly physical, capable of working in things. Why, as us ministering, not just feeding them, and maybe encourage them, and maybe, you know, say, and you know, find where their niche is. Like one guy said, he was an electrician. He said, I was an electrician for years. Well, what happened? Well, alcohol, drugs got to him, but now he's straightened up, and you know, now I'm encouraging him to say, hey, he's found some side work and is working. So it's the idea of what we try to do is when we feed them and clothe them, is try to encourage them after a while, after we build a relationship with them. Because a relationship's got to start first.
Yeah. And let me say this, the human condition is prayer. I don't think we're ever going to get away from the human condition. The human condition will exist no matter what we do. It's always going to be there. But one of the questions I want to ask you guys is, what are the unique features of food access? What are the unique features of food access and preference in our community? What are the unique that separates or causes these some of by area code districts? If we're separated by our dividing lines in our community. There are dividing lines. You do know there are dividing lines in terms of, because we have on the east side, I would say, is one of the most destitute in terms of food, as a food desert. If you own from Walnut West, there is a plethora of stores. And there's uniqueness to this thing because everybody doesn't have transportation. Everybody doesn't have a car. How are we, what is unique? What do you think are some of the unique, that's unique to the area? That it's not by accident that all of the stores are on the west of Walnut. That's not by accident.
That's right.
That's not by accident. That's intentional.
That's right.
That's intentional.
That's exactly right.
And so what do you think are some of the things that cause that to be in that way?
What do you mean? You mean who has planned?
Yes.
That's a governmental thing. It's definitely Delaware County governmental planning. So far as the companies that come into the city of Muncie that are the ones that can really help people, they're steered towards going west. They're always steered west and south and, northwest. And never steered towards South Muncie, Middle Muncie, or East Muncie. And so that's government is doing it.
That's government. You feel like that's government. That's government. Go ahead.
And I know in working with Mayor Tyler and right now, or most recently on, why can't we get grocery stores out here?
Exactly.
And as they advocated, each of them talked to me about it, and again, some of it's county versus city. And
Well, it's county.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So they would bring, each of them have brought companies in, and then when they look at the demographics and they look at the money spent and they look at all that kind of stuff, then those companies don't want to invest in Muncie, period, let alone on this side right now. And so it's hard to sell that, especially if you've got a portion of your government that's not driving it to the places that need it most. So.
he nailed it.
Yeah.
So they incentivize everything going west, just because it's growing and it's closer to the interstate. But yeah, you got Dollar Generals everywhere.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily,
19 of them.
from a personal standpoint, Dollar Generals don't necessarily give us the freshness, the fresh food, those kind of things. However, where would we really be without them?
Oh, I know, yeah.
Come on.
I mean, for real, I don't care for Dollar Generals to that extent, but just think if they were not there.
Oh, my goodness.
Only place you got's Aldi's down in the south end, but in their grocery store you got.
Well, and Walmart.
Walmart.
The problem with Walmart
Is
is that
their fresh produce is not fresh. It's just not fresh. You go in there and even their produce section, it smells rancid in some parts.
Yeah, it does.
Are you speaking about both?
No, Walmart South.
Okay.
Walmart North, like, you go in there and it looks like you're gonna get a better quality of fresh produce.
Just the experience.
The experience. You're gonna get a better experience there, and even going to Payless and Myers. But like, I think Payless may have like the better fresh produce. Like they're even better than Myers. But they're expensive.
Yeah, they're owned by Kroger, I think.
Yeah. It's just so expensive.
I'll tell you, you look like you were gonna say something.
Oh, no, I was just saying that I think Myers has better produce. I do. I know they do when it comes to greens, like turnip greens, mustard greens, collard greens. Cause that's where I go to get my greens.
Mm-hmm.
Cause they're better. They're better than Payless or
There you go, Herb.
Walmart. I wouldn't eat Walmart greens are just withered. Their produce is terrible. It really is. Walmart South, their produce.
They have a horrible manager.
Yeah.
That's a lot of the problem, their manager, and they even hire somebody to come and help him. It's not helping. The manager on the north end has been there a very long time, and he does a better job of managing his store.
Does anybody know of any type of transportation company that would pick up, say for instance, our seniors who may not drive anymore, who can't drive, that would actually see to it that they get, and I know we think of in terms of family. I'm from a family, my family, we take care of our elderly. But there are a lot of elderly in this area that don't have that accessibility for transportation just to get, because that's on Myers. You're talking about,
You almost had a
you're talking about 15
Yes.
miles,
Yes.
20 miles, 20 miles. So that's a uniqueness, and Felice brought up something earlier when we were setting up in terms of the zip code. The 47302 zip code is nationally ranked.
Oh.
Yeah, as a,
Down mentioned that at the Board of Health meeting on Thursday. Is nationally ranked.
yeah,
As what?
as,
Poverty, is it poverty?
Not just poverty,
Health-wise,
health-wise. Okay. We found that out,
yeah,
that the blood pressure is higher in the
Yes.
47302.
the blood pressure,
Oh, yeah.
Well,
health issues.
I can't recall the exact statistic, but it's like 15, 20 years difference on life expectancy
Right.
in the
Exactly.
Grissom area, the CAN network.
Yes.
Yes.
They're bringing out facts on all that's scary.
Yeah. Yeah, we found out a couple weeks ago
Yeah.
that in certain areas, the life expectancy from one side of town to the other, it expands 10 to 12 more years.
Yeah.
Just from one side, one area code to the next, expands.
Yes. And hopefully that information gets out more,
Yeah.
because that is it's the blood pressures and the strokes and the heart attacks that one side of town is having more so than the other side.
Right,
Now, when you get this information, what do you do to make it better? I mean, to change
Right.
it. How do you change it? I mean, we know it, so what do we do to change it?
right.
Because it involves me, because I live in the 47302 zip code area.
Yeah.
meetings like this.
Yeah, it is,
This
and
is a
then,
start.
and then George and Francis Ball has driven it with a whole bunch of not-for-profits in this CAN meeting. And they're coming up, working with the schools, and there's a whole lot of things that they really need to get the word out. And anything I can do to communicate with you all and anything I hear, would be happy to, because they're actually working on initiatives to try and impact it. And there are resources that they're pursuing because it's such a drastic difference and has that national ranking
Yeah.
that there are folks that may invest in trying to make a difference.
Dr. Bird and Maria, what's her name, Wilson, at Urban Life. They're the ones that had the get together about this information about the difference of health issues.
Right.
And that was, what, a couple of weeks ago?
A couple of weeks ago, and matter of fact, I think Carmen attended, and we have the machines, which we're going to be tracking, the Health Coalition of Delaware County, we'll be tracking that here, right here, through our church, and other churches
Yes.
are going to have those machines to track, to see between May and I think it's July 31st, or July 1st. 31st, July 31st, to see where the blood pressures, where the lines are. But we need participants. We need people to when it's announced at your church or where, we need people to actually participate so that we can get a better reading. It's no different than the census. We need everybody to take the census. Whenever it comes out, whenever these things happen, we have to get participation.
And that should, I mean, I don't know if that answered your question, but that came out of that meeting. We know that not everyone goes to church, but it's an opportunity to take a blood pressure. We don't want you to walk past and say, I don't need it today, you know, participate. So that was, I mean, that's just one way of trying to solve a
So
problem.
do we have a ratio of, are the majority of homeless in Muncie on this end of town? Pretty much?
I don't know if that's
I don't know for sure.
I don't know, I don't know if I have any
It's been
data that
collected.
supports it.
That data has been collected.
Because I was curious, because I tell you,
0205.
when, I don't know who serves the homeless, but I tell you what, these last 6 months, I'll just be honest, these homeless come in are so sick, they have got us sick, I don't know how many times. You know, through the leadership, just because I question, you know, because like you said, their health, are they able to get doctors' help?
Well, I do know this, and this has been several years ago. I do know that surrounding counties send their homeless to Delaware County, to Muncie.
Yes.
They actually send them here.
I think that deserves a new page.
That it deserves a new thing. They actually send them here, so we're dealing with not just those that are here. We're dealing with those that may come from Ohio, that may come from, because Richmond, yeah,
Yeah, we got
Kentucky,
Indianapolis,
from different places.
Henderson.
Because for whatever, I don't know how the news got out, but we take care of homeless people. That we take care of homeless people. In one way, it's good that we're getting some notoriety. But in another way, if we don't have the support to handle it, then it still creates another issue. And Pastor, you talked about 10 cities?
10 city over in Amber. Me and myself and Pastor Neil are actually trying, because the problem over here is they're so spread out to where it's hard to really say, okay, where they're actually located. Where in Anderson, there's actually one, I mean, there's more than one, but there's a major one called Tent City where there's back in Woods, there's probably 20, 30 families living back there with children in the woods and tents and things. But here, they're so spread out, it's hard to say where they're at because there's no one particular location.
And aren't they kicked out
Where?
when they get in around here, the police?
So, yeah, a lot of times the police, if they do gather, the police go in and kick them out and stuff like that. So they don't allow them to be there. So we're actually trying to figure out where's the biggest location that they're at. So we can actually have a certainized place and begin to try to actually help them.
We've tried to put we've allowed a few people to put tents, like in our back behind Wayside there, in another area. And they have a bathroom facility. They come right in the norm, use the restroom anytime they want. There's a shower in there. But I got a letter from the health department, said it's against city ordinance, it's against city codes, and those tents will be taken down.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through these questions. But what else does our community need to support expanding access to nourishing food for residents who currently have low access? What are some of the things our community needs to get nourishing food to residents who currently have low access?
You mean delivering to their house?
Right, or just getting them to transportation.
I was sitting here thinking, if we open this fresh market this summer, it's still gonna be a burden for some folks to get there, so we gotta find out how we can get people, to help people get to something that is free.
Right.
So
Because they can
what's
be,
the criteria? Well, I mean, what's,
We're gonna follow the same guidelines that TCAP would be on, so on eligibility, I'm guessing. That's still the final details we're working out with Second Harvest because they're gonna be the primary supplier of what we're doing in the
That's
store.
just choice to me. They just have a choice. But there's another thing around here, from Ball State, they do a produce trailer that goes from different places. I know one year they went to Open Door, they went to Union, I think, at one time. And the problem with that, people have to know where they're at, but then again, it's gonna be transportation if you're not in that area. But the biggest thing to really give people food is gonna be coming together, getting an actual grocery store in the community.
exactly.
That's it.
Because no matter,
Why?
because the problem is we have to understand, it's designed to hurt the lower income people. It's designed to where if you're on the system, you're gonna spend your stuff at a Dollar General, at a Family Dollar, so you're gonna run out, and you need the government. So it's designed, so we have to get to the point to where we're actually gonna put a store in that community to where now you have the fresh produce. Sister said something about Walmart's produce isn't fresh. How's it gonna be fresh if it's sitting in a warehouse for 2 weeks?
That's a truth.
I know because I used to pick up there.
right,
That's a truth.
right.
But also, why don't we know why these market places can't come into Muncie?
Right.
What is the barrier?
Yes.
Tax breaks.
Right.
I think the thing of it is people, I'm just being honest, it's like churches like us, you don't see very many churches getting down in the south end of town and getting out in it when there's shootings every other day. And, and I think what happens is a lot of these, probably what I feel a lot of this is when the corporations hear this, why would they want to put a business in here thinking someone's going to come in, maybe shoot their store up, or anything like that? I feel we become a part of the neighborhood like the church has here, that they don't bother us. But when these things happen, I think I'll just be honest, there's a lot, you know how many volunteers that has told me, I'm sorry, Pastor, I can't come back there no more. I know we're not supposed to have fear, but I just can't because of everything that goes on and around there. Like the drugs, the shootings, and I've had a lot of people that's volunteered that can't. One actually heard shots down the road when Ollie's was being shot it's about a year and a half ago, they said, well, I can't do it. I know we're not allowed to walk in fear, but I'm sorry, I just, I can't. So I think I think maybe that's why some don't want to invest in the south end of town unless the city ends up doing it, and them making it happen, than an outside corporation coming in. I mean, that's just my thought.
Well, and to your point, I understand that, but I know for a fact that banks won't give loans
Come on,
in our area.
come
There
on.
you are.
I know that for a fact, that we are,
Okay.
there's a ceiling. They won't call it red line.
There's a
but
line.
a ceiling. There's a ceiling
It's
for
red
how
line.
much will be invested in these areas.
It's red line.
Yeah.
So you can't
I didn't realize that.
get a grocery store. You can't get a grocery store because the banks themselves won't invest. And even though they're required by law,
Community Reinvestment Act.
yes, to invest in our areas, they're required by law. How they get away, how they get around it, I can't tell. But there is a ceiling to it. But is there anything we can do to make it more accessible for people? Is there any, and I know we're not gonna solve the world problem tonight, but this is going on record, this is going to the Indiana Department of Health. Is there something we can do?
Pastor, I'm just thinking, instead of like everyone here that does their own separate thing, specifically for the grocery store, maybe everyone can brainstorm and ask for a grant, even if it starts off as a one-room grocery store. And you guys should self-fund your own grocery store. Ask for grants until it gets big enough to become its own standing grocery store.
Heaven knows we got plenty of buildings sitting there.
I'm just saying, and it sounds crazy, but just so that everybody have all these ideas. Have your own grocery store.
Yeah, and it's not.
Yeah,
All the ideals, we have to put them out there. We have to put it out there.
They have
because-
Dollar Tree. I keep picturing, why can't you have a grocery store where everything's $1? It's all food.
Yeah,
The whole store is all food for $1.
Yeah.
Somebody will fund it.
So, and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge. Here, let me just go on to this next question. What role can Indiana Department, or what role do you think the Indiana Department of Health play in providing resources, training to our community to support food systems? Because we should be able to approach them.
You can approach, but that doesn't mean that they're. I'm telling you.
Do they still have the Meals on Wheels? Do they still do that?
We were approached because the price, they have a new vendor at the hospital, and apparently the price was going up, and I think they've gotten some funding, but they approached us, and I said, well, that's because our food prices are up 50%. I don't know, we didn't ever end up giving them a price, but they were telling me that they were only providing 50 meals a week.
That's what I wondered, okay.
So.
That's pretty low.
Which,
That's low.
and I don't say that critically because you got to fundraise, but I'm just thinking of all the people that I know that have no transportation around the community that are elderly, I was taken aback. So getting what fundraising is like, trying to feed people, I'm sensitive to what their need is, but wow. Yeah.
They used to be the largest mobile food service. It didn't matter. I don't think there was an age gap. It was just anybody that was.
Did I say week? I think it was a day. Excuse me.
Okay. Even a day, well, that's
Right,
fine.
right.
That's, for Delaware, 50 people.
So if the Indiana Department of Health would put resources, that would help.
Meals on Wheels, bring it back.
Real and I'm saying real resources.
So,
Go ahead.
that's good. So some of the ideas that we have going on here is this market that we're talking about with us, we're also concurrently working on one out on 12th Street
Okay.
that Open Door is looking to make space for. And there's been discussions of saying, well, what does it look like for us to have one in each quadrant? So we're trying to get it somewhere in the proximity. But here's the challenge that concerns me. Depending on where we really fall out on where the eligibility for being able to shop with points is, what about the people that are just above that line that can't afford any food either? And so that really, I mean, you know, there's a whole lot of us living close to that line.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're like, we gotta figure that, so that's a piece that we gotta figure out.
That piece
Yeah,
hasn't
and
fallen.
that's
Which is a grocery store.
And I like what you said, that's the reality. That's the reality, because the prices are not going down.
They're not.
They're not going down. And we have to address, that needs to be addressed too.
I mean, eggs, what are they, $5 a dozen?
Yep.
Now, we're lucky there, we got an egg bank, we go all the way to Connorsville, I get 7 cases a month, and I get them for 50 cents a dozen in these cases. And it's a program over there, which we're partnering with Soldiers in the Army of the Lord, which was part of the Faith Builders Ministry years ago. We just still are partners, so Jennifer will pick up at least 6, 7 cases for us. So when we give food away, we give them a 1-pound hamburger and a dozen eggs with their package, frozen, when we give our grocery out.
And so we have to figure out a way to address even the entities that are, the Department of Health is supposed to be for all of us, for everybody. It's there, and we have to find ways to get them to allow us access and resources to make things happen. And go through, you can go any of the 501c3s or the agencies that can get it out into the community. To get it out, yes, ma'am.
What about a community garden? Like somebody just, you know, manning it, but, you know, anybody can just go get something. Like,
And there was a grant, wasn't there a grant for community gardens at one time?
There's one behind the library.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
There's one behind the one library out there by, the Marion Hunt Library. They have one over there.
Mom's had one too, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, mom's, yeah.
Mom's had- And those things, now community gardens are great. It's just finding the people to man it, to make sure everything is right. I have one more question, and I'm gonna let you guys tell me this data, and we talked about this earlier, the information, the data that is often kept from communities and is not readily shared in a way that communities can use. The area code, the blood pressure, all of those things, that's data that we need to have.
Yeah.
Because it draws attention to, how can data be collected, stored, and disseminated in an equitable manner? What would you suggest, what way in an equitable manner so that not just the north side, not just the west side, not just the south side, not just the east side, but it actually circulates throughout the community? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, this is not a slam. Mayor right now is doing commercials funded by the health department. So if he's able to do that,
Right.
why can't Felice's group or people from the community get with Indiana Health Department and make commercials? You see the commercials on YouTube, you see them on regular TV, you see them everywhere. Talking about, getting the shot.
Yeah, because I believe a lot of people watch TV.
I'm wondering if there isn't some way for us to tap into Ball State to see if we could find someone that couldn't say, this is where we want to find and centralize this data so that people could access it.
Yes,
Right.
that's a great idea.
You mean at Ball State or
Well,
have them
someone
collected?
do it, I don't care where it
One of the
is. but
students, like a computer student or someone,
I would say that the downside to that is that's based on a semester by semester.
Right.
And so even if it is a great program, it's only for spring semester or fall semester or over the summer. And so while they may give us free
For a
manpower,
moment.
right, it may not be long-standing. And so I was,
Long-term,
yeah,
What
long-term, so
about, what
maybe.
about finding the right prof that would own this thing so that it became something that would carry over?
That's a possibility. You just want to be sure that you have a person that has the right integrity, that has the same passion you have, and that isn't doing it for promotion or like they're invested, because you have faculty that don't even live in Muncie, or they live in the zip code that aren't even impacted by this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not impossible. I just want to.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's nothing wrong with owning it yourself. Now, if they could let us rent equipment so that we can do this stuff, lovely. But if they own it, then they own it.
Yeah, I get
And
it.
then they can dictate how we want it done. I've seen that happen.
I know one time, Second Harvest had a team with Ball State, and they had a professor, I forget which school it was, but they were doing maps. And it was like that professor, like every year, until they got them finished, they were working on maps to show them where the deserts were and where the food pantries were and all that stuff. So there's different people that will do it. You got, get, like she said, get the right ones who really want to invest in it.
And I have a few names that I can give you for that map per se, like folks that are staff. Staff may be better than faculty because staff is there. Faculty may leave.
We might want to check with Courtney Gray at George and Francis because they redid maps. I was in a meeting and everybody was putting everything in every neighborhood and it was all laid out all around the room. The stuff they're pulling together, it could be a huge resource. We might be able to send that down there and see if it rattles. Courtney Gray, and she's at George and Francis Ball Foundation.
A-Y, G-R-A-Y?
Gray. Oh, that's not right, it's Zimmerman. Gray's her maiden name. I went to school with her parents. Sorry.
I have a question. What
Yes,
about
I'm sorry.
the elections and stuff are coming up? What about our district people, our councilmen at large? Getting those information?
Yeah.
And that's George and Francis,
Use
not the
them,
Ball
use
Brothers.
those people to get the information out to their districts.
To their districts, use the council,
Yeah.
city council, because they were voted in by their constituents. And they actually serve their constituents. And that is a good.
District 6 does,
I'm sorry.
District 6 does not have a grocery store at all.
Yeah, yeah, this 6 doesn't have one, and I don't know how, here's my,
But getting back to that question right quick.
yeah,
The Healthy Community Alliance out of, IUL, they have a dashboard, a meter, so
okay.
that data could go into that dashboard.
What happened to the, or where are we on the Southway Plaza? There was supposed to be a grocery store being built in there, right? Like, that was the last word I heard.
I haven't heard any more. I belong to a group called Hope, and our president of that is Dustin Clark, and he told me, tells us like the updates, and I haven't heard any more about that yet. But as soon as I do, I can get somebody the information.
That's a question for the Muncie Redevelopment Commission.
Is it?
Yeah. They would know, they can give updates on projects that are being done like that.
Closing
all the banks on the south side.
Yeah, they did. They closed all the banks on the south side.
Yes, none of those.
Chase.
Well, yeah, you're right. A lot of the banks aren't even on the south side anymore.
That, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
that's a protest right there, I'm telling you.
This all on the
The south side always gets shouted
oh, the banks.
in Muncie.
Close my bank. I will clear downtown.
I did ask that question about grocery stores, since I do belong to different groups that have different people in it. And I asked several people and brought it up in front of several people, and I only got one councilwoman to say that she would see if she could work on getting like a Walmart market, because they have
yeah,
those
they
in the
have
south.
small.
But she at least said, hey, I can at least look at this. I have one person tell me, well, I can't make them come here. I had one person just totally ignore it. But the one thing I was concerned about too is, because I live in Milltown Gardens, and they're building Riverbend Flats. It'll be ready next month. That's 60 more apartments in a food desert. And I'm thinking,
And they close the grocery store.
yes, they close the grocery store and build apartments.
Oh, that's right, Marshall's, yeah.
And so what we gotta do, we have 60 more apartments, and all we have is Dollar General, which, and when I'm really tired, and my brother wants pop or pizza, I'm gonna stop there. It is more money, but at least we have that option.
Yeah.
But it would be so great to have a grocery store, because I don't always want to go to Walmart for just one item.
The next city council meeting will be
Right.
May the 1st.
Oh.
A day before the election?
The day, yeah. And all of this that everybody is saying in here, there's open opportunity for people to say just what you guys are saying.
Well, I have a question. How often do you all even get together to be able to share? I mean, not for competitiveness sake, right? But just how often do you all get together to just share so that there can be a united front or a representative at a council meeting or wherever you go? You can say, well, I met with folks at Faith Builders, and so you don't just look like you're representing yourself, but there are other agencies that you're with, like how, and if this is the first time it's happened, it might be good to just have your own network where you can just share and share.
I've been on, there's a Zoom meeting, it's called a food council, this other group where we're looking at putting a market like we have in, for sure to the south, and then hopefully in quadrants. So I'm meeting in different groups, but I can tell you, it wasn't with you all. So what does it look like for us to do that? Because if we aren't in this thing together, we're not gonna win. And so I wanna be in with you, I'm just saying.
So what does it take to get on that Zoom call?
Let me, if I can get a contact number where if we have everybody's information here, I'll share that with the convener and see if we can get them to put out a
I mean, I'm
wider
not trying to
net.
ransack it, but I mean,
No.
we could all just,
Well, yeah, but don't reinvent the wheel.
right.
So it's
There
basically,
you go.
that group's
Yes.
basically made up, they're looking for people that are providers of services. So whoever's a provider of service,
1, 2, 3, 4.
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah, have a meeting the other
Well,
day.
we provide service.
I think it was missed the last.
Yeah, I missed the last one, like 2 weeks or something like that.
Why not everybody that's in this meeting right here, since the city council meeting is May 1st, right before the election, show up at City Hall in force. Then they'll see something, trust me, when you walk in the door, they'll be like, they ain't been here before.
That's right. Why are
What's
they
going
here?
on now? And stir it up. It's election time,
Do we need
stir it up.
to try and get something on the agenda?
You can get on the agenda, but there's open
Open mic.
open mic at the end of the council, and everybody gets 3 minutes.
Okay.
And you can be there till 11 o'clock, because they have before having.
Oh,
But I hope tonight it stirs something in your thinking, in all of our thinking. And to pass the ball, to Pastor,
Hannibal.
65. You're 65.
Come on, brother.
I'm 68.
Pastor Venable.
Something about our hairline might be a giveaway, right?
And all, let me just say, all of us here, so Pastor Kevin doesn't show his age again, all of us here, it should ignite something for us. We see the need to come together. I feel this way, if there's and I shared this earlier, if we know the answer to the problem, what is the hindrance from us making it happen? Because if we know the answer, we can get the studies, we can get the things that we need, but we have to be able to come together. And it's going to be a coming together that makes it happen. I promise it's going to be a coming together. So that everybody represented here has a voice. Right? Y'all understand? Everybody has a voice. And so that then there's something that might be missed. If there's a senior that's not involved, we might miss something. If there's no young person involved, we still might miss something. And so we need everybody to come together and with one voice and say the same thing. And so I appreciate, Felice, you have anything you want to say?
No, thanks for coming.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
You're talking about transportation. MITS Plus, what, do they offer free or something for the seniors for?
It's $1, not free.
It's a
Not
dollar?
free. It's not free. No, it isn't. Because Mother Weezy used Mother Weezy used to have to pay for that. But it's, I mean, well,
It's like $1 each way.
on a limited income,
It's $1 each
I think it's
way.
$1 each way.
it's either $1 or something each way, but if I don't have $1, I'm just,
You have to schedule those.
oh yeah, so you got to schedule in advance and you better not miss.
Don't miss it.
You better not miss because it'll be hard to get you back on the schedule.
I'm just curious. I wonder what it would take for seniors to just be able to ride free. And I say that because our students at Ball State and MCS ride MITS free.
Come on now.
Now you said something
I
right
mean,
there.
I'm sure somebody funds it, but I'm just saying.
That's a great idea.
That's a
Then
good point.
maybe,
That's a good point.
that's a resource that the Indiana Department of Health
There you
can
go.
provide,
There you go.
give those vouchers.
Yeah.
If transportation is a huge thing, that could be a good meantime.
Yeah, you're right. You're right because
Write that on there, Dr.
yeah. Write that on there. But she's right. If students can ride free, I think my grandmother will ride free.
Yeah.
Well, your grandmother paid for the students to really
Well,
ride.
That part.
I won't say it, so I won't try to.
That part.
Yeah, appreciate everybody. Give yourself a hand. To God be the glory. We hope to do even more. We hope to do even more because these community conversations are good.
Yeah.
And we need to have more of them.
Yes.
And have more people.
Amen.
And even, I know there's Crosstown, I know there's Whiteley, I know there's West Side, I know there's North Side, I know there's East Side. But every section of the city needs to be and participate.